So that's it. The Europa League draw is done, and we now potentially know what Liverpool's route is to the final. And of course, we know that route goes through Atalanta, or Bologna in this particular instance. The route, of course, is on the way to Dublin, which is actually pretty good place for Liverpool. Dublin obviously really close to Liverpool in the first place, a place we kind of have a kinship with in the first place. And you know what? It's a beautiful city to visit. But UEFA might not want us to visit there, and part of the reason is that they believe that Liverpool fans are difficult fans. Given the history between UEFA and Liverpool fans, it's not really understandable why they would think that, although obviously in very deep history, there are some things that Liverpool fans have been involved in which do give them a reputation. But of course, in the modern day, it's not quite the same. And I understand fans surging in stadiums, I understand UEFA's need to be a corporate entity, but at the same time, let's not be silly here. Like, in the modern age, controlling fans does not need to happen in the way that it did in places like Paris. And so I think while they are looking at other destinations, Ireland still seems like the preferable one. Aviva is a beautiful stadium. Of course, Dublin is a beautiful city. And, I think one of the worries was that Liverpool would meet Rangers, which would be kind of a religious tie, but that doesn't seem to be much of a threat anymore. So let's go through this brilliant, and I mean, this was probably more exciting than the actual Champions League draw, just because of the strong teams that are still in it, the diversity within the competition, the strength of each of those. And I was saying it to a friend, like, it's almost like this version of the competition this year has got the managers you want to watch. It's got managers who can take slightly more risks, managers who can actually, play a little bit of football, because they've not necessarily got those same pressures that some of the very, very top managers do. Liverpool might be one of those teams, which is the only side in the competition left, who have that kind of same pressure. Anyway, point being, we're facing Atalanta, and I'll talk later about what the route to the final would be, and also the exciting draw on the other side of the draw. Atalanta, of course, are one of those sides that, perpetually they're chasing getting higher up the Serie A table, but of course they can't do that very easily because of the institutions. Inter, Milan, Juve, kind of feel like Roma's one as well. Napoli, of course, are below them in this table, but they're still a strong side. They are a side who have always played attacking football. They're at least in this modern age. They're a side who have worried Liverpool in recent years. And actually, I've got kind of what have I got here? Yeah, here we go. Look. This would be all the teams that we would have on our route to the final if we were to face either of them. We've played Atalanta twice, and obviously pretty decent results, but you get my point here. Like, there is also not decent results in there, if that makes sense. Anyway, point being, we won a couple of good games against a couple of good teams, and there are a few that we lost in there as well. Anyway, point being, we need to up our game against this Atalanta side. They've got a very attacking and very adaptable front line. Ademola Lookman. Do you remember him? Skamaka. Do you remember him? Coop Miners. Do you remember him? There are lots of names that are kind of on the cusp of, mainstream brilliance in this side, but at the same time, you'd be forgiven for not knowing them. Darun, obviously everyone knows. Edison, obviously I think a lot of people know. They've got a really solid back line. Of course, they play that three at the back. And if we are to look at their average formations, this was them very recently against Inter. Again, they lost 4-0 to Inter. Inter being a very dominant team at the moment, at least, although not in the Champions League the other night. This was the way they played. There's that back four, really, a midfield three, although the back three, that kind of back four, there's a tuck-in midfielder, all these kind of things. It looks like a back four, it's actually more of a back three. There's a midfield three, and then there's kind of this attacking fullback situation. It's not all that different to what we're used to seeing in the Premier League. This was them against against Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, that is more of a back three with the two wingers. Two completely different shapes is the point that I'm making here. And if you are going to try to analyse this team, it's probably more to do with the technical personnel and the matchups with Liverpool and whether they are able to adapt and maybe confuse Liverpool a bit, which is possible, but you get what I'm saying here. Like, there's an adaptability and a difficulty to playing these kind of sides. And at this point in the season, frankly, we don't really want that. But it was always going to be, well, a very intense draw. All these sides are intense. Milan, Roma, going to be intense. Atalanta, going to be intense. Leverkusen, obviously intense. West Ham would be a horrible draw. Benfica, not a good one. Marseille, not a good one. So our route to the final is actually a really unpleasant one in the first place. Having said that, is the Europa League, and Liverpool are still joint top, if not just second in the Premier League. So a draw like this was always going to be difficult. Marseille, decent side. Benfica, decent side. Bayern Leverkusen, who have West Ham in the next round. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. It's going to be interesting to see how they do. Of course, a lot of people are already joking. Some people are already mocking up scorecards for the final. I think a lot of people putting pressure on Liverpool. Xabi Alonso himself apparently saying that Liverpool are the favourites for the competition. Obviously, after you beat a side 11-2, there's going to be some worry there. I'm going to be interested to see... I mean, I don't think we'll go through in that same kind of emphatic fashion in the next round, is what I would say. I think Atalanta are a slightly improved side on what we will have faced from, other leagues. And I think that last round kind of sorted the wheat from the chaff, at least in this competition. And, look at it, like that's a really, really strong draw. This Liverpool team is capable of beating anyone in there. But at the same time, we know that teams are always going to raise their game against Liverpool. We know that teams are always going to try and play up because it's Liverpool. And that's part of being a big team in this competition. If we're in the Champions League, there's a lot more equality. There's obviously you have to raise your game against Liverpool, but there is a lot more of kind of, hey, we're equals here. What's the deal? Whereas obviously against Atalanta, against Benfica, against Marseille, we're a scalp. Like we're someone that are good to beat. And obviously if we're in a championship title race against Man City, Arsenal, we're going to be a little bit more tired. The games come at it's never a good time for Liverpool to play in the Europa League. Take a look at this. I mean, if I just show you Liverpool there, that's immediately after that Manchester United game on April the 7th. And that obviously is 3 days after the Sheffield United game. That's 4 days after the Brighton game. There are back-to-back things going on here. Obviously, Liverpool have got, I think there's a maximum of like 3-4 days is the biggest gap between some of these fixtures. And then even after the Atalanta game, we go away to Fulham 2 days. I actually think that 2-day one will be moved because the fixtures will be rejigged. I think that'll probably end up on a Sunday, possibly even a Monday, but I think it'll probably end up on a Sunday. So we'll end up with 3 days between those. Wild. Like, this Liverpool team already is struggling with injuries. This Liverpool team is already struggling with kind of the worry of, whatever. And we've already had that Everton game postponed. This team, we kind of need a couple of these guys to come back now. Like, I know that we absolutely trounced Prague, but that's not the same as playing some of these teams here. Like that Prague team basically rolled over for Liverpool and kind of acknowledged that they were just the better side or the bigger side. I don't even know if bigger meant better in this instance. Anyway, point being, it's a really difficult period. The great thing is we also play West Ham in that time, which obviously West Ham will have their own rise against Leverkusen. That'll be about a week after they will have either won or lost against Leverkusen. So let's see what their momentum is like. And then in those last few games, Spurs, Villa, Wolves, Arsenal in pre-season. Why have we booked that? And Manchester United in pre-season. I forgot about those at the end there. Anyway, Tottenham, Villa, and then we finished the season in Wolves. With Wolves at us. Anyway, point being, big finish to the season, and these are some massive fixtures. I can't really see an easy fixture between now and the end of the season. I know some people go, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace. Teams are going to play up against us. It's not bad, it's just not great. And of course, there may be a final then against AC Milan, Roma, or Leverkusen, or West Ham. I kind of want to avoid West Ham. I kind of want to get Leverkusen just purely, but I kind of don't want to get Leverkusen, if that makes sense. Like, Liverpool might be one of the only teams where I'd sort of go, yeah, I'd kind of back you to do something. Let me know, what do you think the route is to the final here? I think Milan beat Roma. I think Leverkusen beat West Ham. You'd hope Liverpool would beat Atalanta. Did Benfica come out against Marseille? That's the only one I don't really know how to call that because those are kind of two comparable leagues. Anyway, let me know in the comments below who goes where. If you're an Atalanta fan and you're watching this, let me know what we're looking out for in this tie. Let me know the difficult things. Saw some amazing comments last time from Sparta fans. Sorry, Sparta fans. Saw a lot of good comments from you last time. Anyway, let me know in the comments below and I'll chat to you again in the next video previewing the Manchester United video. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're previewing the Manchester United match. Yeah, sorry. See you later. Much love. Bye.